So I have been working for Access since May 2016. Initially, I started off 2 days a week as the office administrator, and then I moved into 3 to 4 days a week up until last year in June, July, where my role changed dramatically. Well, this time exactly a year ago, there was an announcement made to the church that we were losing our 3 pastors, full-time pastors, and the LBA and the eldership asked if I would move into the role of executive administrator. It was a bit scary, obviously. Not what I anticipated, not what I expected, but I knew it was coming. I had a year before with the Access leadership team, had gone down to a GLS Plus event with Carrie Newhoff, and it was there that I was sensed God challenging me with moving more into a role of leadership. So I knew something was happening, and so I kind of, throughout that year, I just continued to move into that wherever I could and support the Access team. The call of God for me has always been to move wherever He leads, and when He leads, His timing's always perfect for me. Often it's never in the way that I think it will be, or never in the way that I want it to be, actually. But when you journey with God, it's a matter of obedience for me, and so just being obedient to His call. What is clearer now through that time that I didn't see back then was just continuing to have my faith in Christ, stepping out into the unknown. I knew that was a big thing. Done it for many years as being a missionary on the field. We've stepped out into the unknown a lot. Some of those things are quite fearful. So I had a guy come up behind me, and he had a bush knife this big, and he slashed the laptop off my back. So that kind of was a bit fearful. And then also I had my family in the car one time in PNG, turned a corner, and there were 200 men dressed in warfare clothing with knives and spears, and they were going for a compensation fight with another tribe, and we were kind of caught in the middle. So it was one of those things like out of a movie scene where I just literally reversed, floored it, and went all the way back out the street. So there are times we've been in situations that have been fearful physically, but this was a whole nother level of fear for me, is stepping out into this role. What got me through was absolute trust in who God is. So knowing who God is, and knowing that if He calls me to it, He'll be faithful to it. Knowing that if He calls me to anything, that He will prepare me for it, and He'll provide a way for me to get through, even if I don't understand or know how it's going to happen, which is often the way. Absolutely just trusting in Him and knowing that He will do what He says He will do, and He'll be the God who He says He is in His word. It's always the unknown, especially in this time with Access and this season with Access and how church is going to look. But I absolutely believe that it's also exciting. It's a fear balanced with an excitement of God's doing something. And whenever God shifts us, when God makes us uncomfortable, and when we go through those kind of things, it's also an excitement for me, because I'm going, man, something's happening. He's doing something, and we just got to be ready to move when He asks us to move. Like working through any fear for me is always to trust God. And there's an element of trusting God where you trust Him more the more you know Him. And there's a massive difference with knowing Him and knowing Him. So I could say, like, for instance, right now, I know Jono. He's married to Yvonne, he's got 3 gorgeous girls. He comes from Echuca, and he's lived there his whole entire life. He supports some team that's playing Graham Carnell's team this week. But to say that I know you, I don't know what your favorite color is, I don't know what your favorite food is. And so I think in any relationship, and with God particularly, you've got to know Him. The more you know Him, the more you're going to trust Him. The more you know Him, the more you're going to know why He does what He does. You're going to know His motivations. You're going to know that He's going to be faithful. You're going to know He's going to come through. He's got your back no matter what. I think also in knowing Him, there's that element of, hey, I've been there, I've done this before. He's never, ever forsaken me before. And so we can go on that experience of knowing that, hey, remember that time I went through this before, and God was faithful. So I think hindsight's awesome, an awesome combat to trust God, because we can look back at those times where we were fearful and go, hey, but look what He did back then, and be reminded of that.